Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode of Entropia content. Man, oh man, was yesterday ever a wild ride? I kind of had a feeling something strange was going to happen, and boy did it ever. But let's get to some Entropia content first. Alright, so today we're going to start off the show with a quick spin of the Bitcoin casino. We got 38,800. Let's give it a roll. Alright, 38,815. I'm hoping to reach 40,000 before the election so that I can place a bid of 10,000 and still keep my 30,000 balance even if I lose the bid, which I probably will. I don't know, Kanye West was on Joe Rogan's show again, or not again, for the first time yesterday. So I got to watch a bit of that. I'll have to watch the rest of it today. Because I was wondering if he was still in the election, if people were allowed to vote for him or not. So I was like, wow, as far as I know, I heard the first bit of the interview and it sounds like Kanye is still in the election. I don't know, I heard someone saying that he's not even on the ballot in most of the states. But I was thinking, if he's on any of the ballot, man, he could win this. And man, I was looking at the betting odds on Bitcoin, he's like 300 to 1 odds. So can you imagine if you even put like a 10,000 Satoshi bid? That would be pushing me close to 1 Bitcoin if he won. So I think I might actually have to try that bet. I don't know, we'll see. As much as Trump is probably the for sure bid to win, you don't really win much. So it's like, why not go for the high risk bid, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to lose 10,000 Satoshi, whoop-de-doo. I can rebuild that in no time. Alright, so let's start off doing a little bit of looking for the AI. I was going to fly to the other planet while you guys were gone, but I got carried away watching UFC. Boy, was that ever a shit show. It's like, remember how the previous episode, I don't know if I mentioned on this show or it might have been just Clone Evolution, the UFC was caught cheating, where they allowed Khabib to weigh in at 150 pounds, but they did it without him actually doing it. He stripped naked, wore the towel, stepped on the scale, and he didn't make the weight. But what they did is they cut away and recorded the weight before the scale stopped moving. Everyone was like, hey guys, that's part of the rules. You have to wait for the scale to stop moving to show that he actually made weight, and they never did. So they cheated at the weigh-in. So it's like right away it was like, holy shit, something fishy is happening with these fights. And then the whole week they've been going on and on about how Justin had been training in wrestling his whole life and his strategy was to get up when Khabib took him to the ground. So boy, what happens when the fight begins? First, Justin completely changed his fighting style. And everyone's like, man, like, sure, modify your fighting style a little bit when you're fighting a new fighter, but to completely change it, and not in a good way. It's like his whole skill set that made him a good fighter his whole career was coming forward and attacking fighters and meeting them face to face in the ring. So what happens when the Khabib fight starts? Justin just starts running away the whole fight. Everyone's like, why is Justin running? Is he like throwing the fight or something? And then what do we see? Not only does he not use his wrestling to prevent takedowns, boom, Khabib gets him down easily. It's like he wasn't even trying. It's like he laid down for him. And then Ellen was like, okay, well, at least he'll get up. No, he didn't try once to get up. So everyone's like, what the fuck, right? Like, here you guys are going on and on about how Justin was going to attack and he was going to get up from the takedowns. No, he threw the fight. And it's like, he made it so obvious. He didn't even try. So I was like, what the hell? It's like, how much did they pay him to take a dive? It's like watching the UFC is like a WWE event now. A, he didn't make weight for the fucking weight class, so Khabib didn't really defend his title. That was all bullshit. And the fighter he is fighting paid to take a dive. So I was like, holy God. The only thing I was thinking is maybe Justin chickened out or decided like, oh, I can't use my wrestling. I should just lay down and give up because Khabib's so scary. It's like, but maybe he like froze under the lights, but they were always saying that he's like a big performer on the big stages or whatever. But then there was the thing that Justin said in the interviews. When they asked him what was going to happen in the fight, he said he was just going to lay there and let Khabib submit him. So everyone's like, what do you mean by that? He's like, oh, that means like if if I'm losing the fight, that's what will happen. And we're like, well, yeah, we asked you what was going to happen. So you're anticipating you're just going to lay there and lose? It's like, what the hell? I don't know. I kind of got my hopes up in the media because a lot of people said that Justin actually had wrestling and he could use it. Well, we didn't see it in that fight, so apparently he doesn't have any wrestling background. Or maybe he did and just forgot how to wrestle over these years. Or I was thinking maybe he blew out his knee. Like sometimes fighters will have like a torn meniscus and they can't wrestle anymore. And then they'll just keep their career going as long as they can pretend that they might be able to wrestle. So I think maybe that's what happened. Justin really just had blown out knees, couldn't wrestle, couldn't get up. So that's why he's been a stand-up fighter the past few fights. Or his whole career in MMA. Yeah, so I was starting to wonder that. Like, wrestling is such a dominant fighting style. Like, why would he be a pro wrestler and then all of a sudden become a MMA fighter and never wrestle again? So now we can see, even when he was losing and needed to use wrestling, he couldn't. And he had no submission defense. Or he just laid there. I was like, normally when you're defending submissions, you have a few options. You can do a hip toss, or what do they call it? Yeah, a bunch of different hip moves where you can roll and turn your hips to create space and get out. He never tried that once. You can wall walk, where you press your back against the cage and use it to walk and get up. And he had his back against the cage. He never did it. Didn't try once to wall walk. So I don't know. It's like either he doesn't know the most basic moves to get up, or he just didn't bother trying them. And normally it's when a fighter's tired, but this was like the first or second round. Gaethje's like incredible stamina, and he barely, well, I guess he was running away the whole first round, so maybe that's what it was. He burned out from running for 2 minutes. I don't know. It was such a letdown mainly. I didn't really think Gaethje's had any chance, but the main thing I was thinking is maybe he could like put up a decent fight and we'll see at least a good fight. But no, he just gave up. Didn't fight back at all. Just ran and then laid down. So that's usually what happens when a fighter is paid to take a dive. So it's like, could someone in Khabib's corner pay Justin to take a dive? Like, I'm not thinking Khabib would do it. He seems like at least an honorable guy to some degree. Other than the fact he runs like a chicken every time he has to face Tony Ferguson. Last time he ran all the way back to Russia, and someone in his camp gave his dad COVID. And then his dad ended up dying from his cowardice. But yeah, that's sad but true. So anyways, yeah, so that's what I was thinking. Maybe someone felt so bad about Khabib's dad dying that they paid Justin to take a dive. Yeah, so maybe Khabib did earn to that fight, because, man, with his dad dying and all, that was devastating. And it just happened. So to pay to have him win the fight, that was pretty interesting. He deserved it, I guess. Now, and the only thing that other came up really suspicious in the weigh-ins was they said that Justin's family is very poor, and that his dad had been working in mines his whole life and just recently barely retired, and his mom still wanted to retire really bad but couldn't. And the money they were going to make from winning the UFC fights just wasn't enough to be anything substantial. Because in the UFC, they pay you very minuscule amounts. Most fighters barely even can afford to take the year off work that they need to heal from being injured in the fight. So yeah, the fighters almost need a union of some type. Normally I'm against unions that are paid in tax dollars, but these fighters aren't getting paid in tax dollars, so they really should form a union. Yeah, so I don't know, like, maybe they paid off Justin, he gave all the money to his mom so that she could retire. Because getting paid off to take a dive on a fight on that scale is probably looking at like tens of millions of dollars, where if he won the fight, he'd be lucky to win $50,000 if he could knock out Khabib, or submit him or whatever, but the odds of that was pretty slim. Well, unless he actually fought him. Then the odds would be probably pretty good. But even if he beat him, $50,000, say he blew out his fucking back, had to take a year off work, would that cover the $50,000? Probably close, but you're not breaking any big profits. Can you imagine all these fighters in the UFC fighting, and they barely even profit? The only time they get money is from the endorsement deals. So I don't know, like I couldn't watch the UFC. I deleted all the channels from my YouTube list. I'm like, I really don't want anything more to do with UFC. That was a disgusting fight. It should have been Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson had actually had an undefeated streak for years, and he barely lost that fight against Justin. I know people will say that, well, obviously it was a TKO, Justin earned it, but Tony Ferguson had some sort of weird eating disorder going, where he came into the fight anorexic and could barely move. So, like, I don't know, like, it almost seems like the whole division just collapsed in time for what is it, Khabib to have no one to fight. Like, I think even a fucking eating disorder Tony would have done better than, well, he definitely would have done better than what Gaethje's did there. That was the gayest and cheesiest fight I've ever seen in my life. Like, normally when fighters throw a fight, it's somewhat obvious, but that was almost like in your face obvious. Especially with the UFC being complacent and allowing Khabib to fight to defend his title when he didn't make weight. So, well, I guess maybe that's for the best. I could use a break from sports. Now, I was thinking, now that sports is all over, baseball's over, hockey's over, basketball's over, all my teams have moved to the States, and I only cheer for Canadian teams. So if the Raptors and the Blue Jays are both in the States next year, I've got no Canadian teams to cheer for. Except for hockey, I guess I'll still watch it. Oh well. Nah, to be honest, I knew something fishy was happening with all that situation, so it's not like I was like shocked when that happened. I was like kind of anticipating it. There was like a lot of bullshit, that whole situation. Oh, I got some interesting news about changing the show to 1080. Good news and bad news. I was gonna say, it looks like Entropia froze on me. Now the good news is, I think I'm recording this at 1080, but as you can see I got these little black sidebars on the side, and I think I figured out what it is. I'm using these big giant monitors, and when I go to the display setting to turn them to HD, it doesn't give me the option. It says my monitors don't support HD. So that's the problem I'm having. So that kind of sucks. Like, I could have swore I had these monitors, bought them when HD came out, and I always swore that it always had the HD options to like upscale it, and I thought I had it turned down because it was hooked up to my TV, and I was thinking, oh, maybe the TV is lowering the resolution scale. But no, I found out when I checked the resolution that my TV supports the HD. It's the monitors that aren't. So it kind of sucks. Now I'm looking at having to buy 3 new monitors in order to get the show going in HD properly. God, that's going to be expensive. Well, I shouldn't say expensive. I haven't looked at the price of monitors in a long time, so... Yeah, maybe I can sell these ones. Probably not, but... It's a shame. My brother was just asking me if I wanted some HD monitors. I'm like, nah, mine are HD. And then I find out, oh, actually mine aren't HD. Great. Kind of annoying. Oh, fuck. Right, so all these noobs are here picking up oil. I'm gonna get the hell out of here before I shoot them and waste my ammo. Yeah, so at least now I know what the problem was. I don't know, my computer set up. Yeah, maybe that'll help me watch some boobs in HD, so it'll be worth the upgrade. Let's be real, with the way the lockdown situation's going, I ain't seeing any other boobs anytime soon. Oh, that's sad. Nah, I was thinking that was the main thing that made me the most sad of the whole year. I was looking forward to going to the beach and seeing some bikini babes. I'm like, at least if there's lockdowns going and can't have relationships or get thousands in fines, millions in fines, whatever it is now. Yeah, I think the one guy in Canada, he's facing $500,000 in fines for breaking the lockdown rule, and his fine penalty was, I think at first he was flaunting that he didn't want to wear masks, and after that whole flaunting situation, then he went on a trip to Europe, and when he got back from the trip to Europe, like everyone else, he's like, fuck the isolation, I'm not isolating for 2 weeks. Then they fined him like $500,000 or something. I was like, holy shit, eh? It's like our government has like really become quite tyrannical. Not to mention, like, this $500,000 fine for not isolating. Well, that's a weird thing. Canada keeps saying that they're not going to put people in isolation camps against their will. But I was like, well, when you're fining people $500,000 for not isolating, isn't that basically the same thing? I know I can't afford a $500,000 fine, so I wouldn't be doing it. And being forced to do it is kind of like, I don't know, if you have to isolate for 2 weeks, that's basically a jail sentence, especially if you're in a one-room apartment. So yeah, quite irritating, but oh well. Now, I think as mentioned, all this crap is happening. It's forcing me to change for the better in a lot of ways. It forced me to upgrade my monitors to HD. I was wondering that too, because every time I was watching 4K videos, I swear it had nothing to do with boobs. Now, it was like stuttering a little bit. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why can't I watch 4K? It's like, now I know. My monitor's not 4K. So I guess I'll have to be watching the boobs on my TV screen. That's what I should be doing. Now, and I guess being forced to be single is kind of a good thing, because in a long time, I had just been like, too busy to bother looking for relationships, and then being forced to not be able to look for one has kind of like made me realize that I should have appreciated having the opportunity to do it while I did do it. Oh well, live and learn, right? That's what I was thinking about bars. I'd only go to bars sporadically, like maybe once or twice a year. My friend's like, oh, you should go more often, you can meet hot babes all the time this way. It's like, it's like too busy. And it's like, man, now that I can't go to bars, I'm almost like, man, I wish I could go to bars. I want to go more than ever now. And the main thing I didn't really like about meeting women at bars is a lot of times you don't have anything in common when you meet. So it is kind of nicer to meet someone that you have something in common with. Not saying you have to share the same hobbies for everything, but at least something that you could talk about. And I'm kind of in a bad situation where I don't indulge in normal media, so it's like I have no idea what's on TV, I haven't seen movies in years. So most people always want to talk about like movies and TV. I'm like, well, it's like, unless you want to just tell me about everything, there's not really any feedback I can offer on them. Nah, I got too involved in ancient mystery stuff, and I tried to get out of it, but I don't know, I find watching TV is such a brain-dead activity where you don't learn anything, so I used to watch TV a lot when they had really good documentaries and news programs like Daily Planet, so I was constantly learning while watching TV. That was pretty good, but I don't even know if Daily Planet is still a show. After Jay Ingram retired, I quit watching it because he was my favorite host for it. Maybe he's still going on it, I should check. Here I'm thinking, geez, maybe I just quit watching it and he never did retire. Pretty sure he did though, and that was the reason. It's been so long ago now, I can't even remember why I stopped watching it. Was it Natasha Stillwell? She was pretty hot too. Not as hot as Jade. No, I'm just kidding. He was smoking. Kind of looked like Santa Claus. I like that. No, I'm just kidding. Want to sit on his lap. Oh man. Alright, too much. At least I'm in a better mood, because at first, after I watched that Khabib fight, I was so disappointed. And I was thinking, like, man, I wanted to get drunk and stoned and watch the UFC fights because it was going to be the fight of the century. Not only was it not the fight of the century, it was complete garbage. He just ran away and then laid down. Oh, that was funny. Alright, so yeah, let's get going. I figure I'd start the show off with a little bit of running around collecting items before I fly off on a journey. Take a journey, stop by FOMA, set up the Halloween decorations there. Then I'll hit up Rocktropia, or not Rocktropia, Calypso. I haven't decided if I should clear out my blueprint collection and bring it to Calypso. Unless they have the Halloween Mayhem going. Because if they got that going, then all of a sudden the auction becomes as useless as Rocktropia's. So yeah, I'm probably going to bring the prints there for nothing. Oh well. Yeah, so maybe I'll just stock up the prints in FOMA rather than wasting putting them on auction and just killing the markup value. Maybe I'll bring the Cracker print, put it on auction because it's still at least somewhat stable. I probably jinxed it. By the time I get there, it'll be worthless. Oh well. Yeah, let's go check out the Motorhead kegs and then we'll fly in space. So I hope everyone else had a good weekend. Hope you weren't too upset about the UFC card being a complete letdown. I was kind of wondering what was going to happen because the UFC card leading up to that main event wasn't very good either. Well, actually I shouldn't say that. Was it the undercard or whatever? It had some decent fights. Now I'm wondering if that's what it is. You know, if you watch like lower, like the UFC's minor leagues, what is it called, like Bellator or whatever the other organizations are, they often have really good competitive fights where you can tell the fighters are trying to win. They're not getting paid to like just take a dive. Man, all these like people are here collecting shit already. Well, he's just standing there, so maybe he's gone. Man, I had the funniest dream that I woke up to just before I came to record the show. It's like one of my old roommates from when I used to live at my dad's place was had a dream where it's like every time I'm hanging out with him, usually he does some annoying stuff, so it's like sometimes I don't like to hang out with him anymore, even though we used to be really good friends and it was fun to hang out when we were kids or teenagers. And he'd always get on my nerves. I think what it was, yeah, it was always really weird arguments. And it's like I can only take so many weird arguments before I'm like, hey man, like these arguments are just stressing me out and it's like maybe we should hang out with some other people. So anyways, in the dream, now sometimes we'll hang out occasionally for like a day or two, but it's like, man, that's enough, and then we need a few months or years break. So anyways, in the dream, what happened was I think I lent him my bike and we were at this campground out by Laurel Creek and we were debating like, why is Laurel Creek expanding all these campsites closer and closer to the city? I was like, man, it's too close to the city, it's not a real legit campsite. Which I don't think they're doing in real life, it was just a dream. And I was like so puzzled in the dream, I'm like, man, this is weird, why is Laurel Creek doing this? And then he was arguing with me, saying that was a good idea. I'm like, whatever, man. So then, oh yeah, these rookies are here picking up everything. It's good. I hope they build up enough to get their accounts going. It's like really I'm into the thousands of peds, so I shouldn't be here taking the oil or barrels on them. But I am. Now what I'll do is help him. I'll lure some of these Motorhead guys away so he can pick oil or kegs even closer to them. Yeah, so in the dream I lent him my bike and I'm like, hey man, I got a bike home now, so show me where you locked the bike. Like he locked the bike somewhere. Oh fuck, I have no health to lure them away. What the fuck? Oh yeah, I died just before I got here from those wolves. Oh, I was able to get them stuck there. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll recharge my health and then lure them away. So anyways, I asked him where did he park my bike, and he's like, oh, he locked it in this parking lot. I'm like, a parking lot? God, that's a bad idea, it could get stolen. So I'm like, man, are you doing the dumb shit again? So then when we get to the parking lot, guess what happens? We see my bike locked to a car, and the car is starting to pull away. And then I'm like, hey man, that's my bike on the car. Did you lock it to some random car? And he's like, yeah, I couldn't find anywhere else to lock it, so I locked it to someone's car. I just hoped that they wouldn't drive away. So I'm like, well, fuck, we gotta get my bike before this guy drives away with it, right? So we're like trying to get the car to stop so that we could unlock the bike, and he was just refusing. The guy in the car is like giving us the finger, saying, hey, you were stupid enough to lock your bike to my car. We waited hours for you. You never came. So we're just driving away with your bike now. Screw you. I was like, you bastards. So we're like chasing this car down the street while it's driving away with my bike locked to it. What a funny dream. Yeah, and then afterwards I was like yelling at everyone. I'm like, alright, we'll just have to call the police and give them the license plate number. I'm like, who wrote down the license plate? And everyone's like, you didn't write it down? I thought you were going to write it. And we're all like all yelling at each other about why none of us wrote the license plate down. Yeah, see, that's the thing I was thinking that dream maybe was about. I've been getting too much victimhood lately. So I gotta try to make sure I don't keep blaming other people for shit. Gotta take responsibility for my own failings. Try to improve on them. Instead of always being such a sissy. No, watching that Kanye interview, it was good. Like, I don't know, I'd heard that Kanye was weird before. And I kind of liked him. Because I'm like, I don't really like people that are normal, as you could tell. I like more people that are a little bit different. I don't want to hang out with people that are always the same. So it's like when Kanye was a little bit different, supporting Trump and taking heat for it, I was like, yeah, this guy's willing to stick his neck out. He doesn't need to follow the crowd. It's more of like a trailblazer. So I was like, alright, already I like Kanye. But I didn't really know much about him other than that. I can't recall if I've ever listened to his music. Maybe once or twice I've heard a song before. So yeah, so I was watching the interview with Kanye. Man, did he blow my mind with what the kind of topics he likes to discuss. It's like, you know, with Joe Rogan, he's like typical meathead topics, but he can also get philosophical, and he can also like do a whole bunch of other shit that he can talk about. Alright, I guess I'll lure this panther out. Ah, fuck, can't even do that. You idiot! No, so right away he started getting into like some ideas. Like I guess he's not so much an inventor or innovator, he said. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff I like to do. So right away I was like, oh, all right, Kanye's an innovator, inventor. This is cool. We'll get some interesting topics. And then yeah, he started like showing off the shoes that he designed, like some new running shoe, and it's completely different. It almost looks like a croc of shit, not like the croc sandals or whatever. I know the Kanye haters like, yeah, it's a crock of shit. No, but those shoes, they were wild. And I was thinking, yeah, if I was going to design shoes, I would design them like that too. Because I was like, man, like a lot of times I put on shoes, I'm like, these designs are like from the 1800s. Like, God, they're so basic and dumb. Like almost everything to do with shoes is wrong. Now, what do I mean by that? It's like, well, I used to work for doctors a lot when I was like shining shoes as a living. I did that for 9 years. That's how I met all those rich people, is I was constantly shining shoes. Yeah, people be embarrassed to be a shoe shiner, but hey, you gotta start somewhere, right? And I was actually making one of the best money in my life when I was back doing that job. I kind of miss it. Right, so anyways, when I got to work as a shoe shiner, I got to meet a lot of doctors, and a lot of them were foot doctors. Well, not a lot, a few of them. And yeah, they give me some insight about why they wear different shoes. And I was like, yeah, that makes way more sense. But it turns out, this one foot doctor, it's like he doesn't even wear socks. And I'm like, God, isn't that nasty? You get foot fungus and stuff? He's like, the problem with modern day shoes is they put like materials inside that breed foot fungus. Like in the olden days, they only made shoes like leather. That was it, the only thing. And leather doesn't breed foot fungus because for some reason the leather, I guess it doesn't have felt or any cotton or whatever, so the bacteria really can't take hold. So if you just wear, you don't even need socks if you're wearing leather shoes because your feet won't breed the foot fungus in them. So I was looking at Kanye's design for his shoe. Yeah, that's what he did. He made it like this material that's non-foot fungus. So right off the bat, I'm like, all right, it's like no cotton, no felt and all that crap inside the shoes. It's like, who has like such sissy feet that they need cotton to make it softer? Like, leather is already soft enough for me. I don't need no felt or whatever. That's what I noticed, like wearing dress shoes, right? If you wear like leather dress shoes on the inside, it's like, yeah, I don't get uncomfortable feet. Like, what the hell are we putting cotton and all these foot fungus breeding materials inside of our shoes? Yeah, so right away I learned that, hey, Kanye's got some good ideas here. Oh yeah, and then his shoe that he designed was like so much ventilation, it was almost like a sandal. I'm like, yeah, that's good, because like I always have incredible high body heat. It's like, I'm surprised, and people are like, oh, they need to like warm themselves up for something. Yeah, like those sex toys for men, they're always like, oh yeah, they need it heated. I'm like, you need it heated? Like, what the fuck? It's like, man, not to be too graphic or anything, but when my blood is flowing, it's like, I am not worrying about being cold. It's like, normally I'm boiling hot. So I was kind of surprised at that. I was like, what the hell? It's like, why would someone want like warm running shoes? It's like, I don't want my running shoes to be warm. If I'm running in them, I'm going to be overheating. I want as much ventilation as I can get. So I was like, yeah, that's a good design that Kanye had. I was like starting to wonder, like, how the hell is Kanye coming up with all these great ideas, like as an innovator? And then he was telling us stories about who his idols are and what he likes to research, and he's all into Da Vinci and Elon, or not Elon, Edison. Yeah, Edison and Elon. I'll get into that in a second. Yeah, so he's all into that, like Tesla. He knew all about the battles that Tesla and Edison were having. And that was the same deal that we're facing in our society right now. It's the same battles. And he was talking about that. I was like, man, this guy's like fucking reading my mind. This is what I think about every day. And this is what Kanye is thinking about. So I was like, holy shit. No, he was going on, like he knew that back in the day, what was it, Edison and Tesla used to fight all the time. Like they were arch enemies. And I don't know if anyone heard the story, how it happened. I think was it Edison had started to decide that he was going, like he was running some sort of electrical plant, like one of the first of its kind. Hey, here's someone. It's like, how come you didn't say hi to the noobs? Well, were they as hot as that babe? So yeah, let's get a little bit of flying done. Did I drop everything off? Let's check the status of my ship. Oh yeah, and then he knew about Da Vinci. I was like, alright, so that's where Kanye's getting a lot of his good ideas. He's studying the best. He's studying Da Vinci, he's studying Tesla. He's not fucking around. Alright, 62 pet of oil. How's my space thruster doing? Alright, we're set to go. Yeah, so when Thomas Edison had that factory going, I think it was, yeah, Niagara Falls. It was probably Niagara Falls. Because he wanted a home base close to where, well, maybe it wasn't right at Niagara Falls, his home base, but anyways, he was setting up, or how do I get in? There we go. So he was trying to figure out a way to take the electricity that they were just starting to generate at Niagara Falls, like they're building this giant power plant there. But they had to get... Why is my ship zoomed in so much? I hit some key and it totally fucked it. There we go. God, there's so many keys in this game you could just bump in and fucks the game. It's like, man, why is that feature even in there? Does someone want to fly that close to the ship? Anyways. Yeah, so that was the battle for a while. Or yeah, Edison was hiring people for his factory, and one of the people that he hired was Tesla. I think Tesla came from overseas, and he was looking for jobs in America. He's like, hey, he's good at electricity, so why not get a job at Edison's factory? And then Edison just so happened to ask all of his employees at his factory, offered them a bonus. He's like, if anyone can find a better way to deliver the electricity from Niagara Falls, I'll give out this huge bonus. forget, it was like $1 million, but whatever it would be in that days and ages money. And here at Tesla's like, dear God, like, he can do it, and he really needs the money because he's broke at this point. So he's like, he worked and worked at it and came up with the AC, alternating current system, to take the electricity from the falls and deliver it to everyone in the houses. So what does he do? He presents it to Edison, and Edison, I think at first, was like laughing at it as like a joke. He's like, oh, this will never work. You're an idiot, Tesla, right? Oh my God, remember this problem? For some reason, my ship is fucking flying around on its own. Alright, so I'm gonna have to try to get in the space station and fix this problem. Thanks, Entropia. Your controls are so good that when I get into space, the ship just flies itself in random patterns. And I don't know, was I holding a key when I fucking got into space? Is that what causes it? But God, is it a fucking annoying glitch. Happens to me about maybe 10% of the time. So anyways, eventually it becomes like a public debate, because I don't know how, but oh my God, I can't go in the space station? Are they fucking serious? I can't teleport in the vehicle, and I can't go in the space station. What the fuck am I supposed to do now? Alright guys, we'll come back once I arrive on the other planet. There we go, now I can move. So what did I have to hit there? Escape. Escape brings you out of that fucking nightmare. Oh man. Why it's not letting me in the space station? Oh, I have no fucking idea. Man, this is not fun. It's like, don't you love Entropia? How many times you go to play the game and it's just fucking horse shit, and I want to smash my computer because it doesn't fucking work. Oh my fucking God. Now is it going in the space station as soon as I fly away from it? Well done, Mindark. I'm gonna fucking... Man, these guys need to, I don't know, like, either hire all women to work for the company, or maybe hire less babes so they're not fucking distracted from actually working on the game. Because not being able to fucking even have space work, that's mental, man. Fucking mental. Not to blame it all on Mai, but man, I can guarantee you, if she was working in the office, I probably wouldn't be getting much done either. Just be staring at her all day. Yeah, it's like back in the school philosophy. In my city, they used to separate the guys from the girls, even if they went to the same school, so that they could actually get some learning done. Not to say some people can't handle the distraction, but let's be real here. We're human beings. Was I dying? I could have swore I seen my ship lose some health there. After all said and done. So I guess I won't get too sidetracked with the whole Tesla Edison story. Basically the deal was Tesla's idea ended up winning. What it was, like, everyone decided they wanted alternating current instead of Edison's idea. And then Edison was supposed to come through on his promise to pay the person from his factory who solved the problem with delivering the power. You know what he did? He laughed in Tesla's face, said, I never signed anything saying that I would give you the bonus, so screw you. I was like, can you imagine if your boss did that? Like, promised you a big reward if you solved his problem, and then you solved the problem and he told you off? I'd be like, Edison was like the ultimate arrogant jackass. Oh yeah, and then Edison, for his experiments to try to prove that his battery system with DC was better, he was electrocuting animals to death in front of big crowds of people. I was like, man, he was a really fucking sick fucker, man. But I think back in those days, like, torturing animals to death was somewhat considered not as bad as it would be today. So in his defense, maybe that's why they considered animals like fine to torture them to death. Which I definitely don't consider that. Like, I even, like, my grandpa used to run a chicken farm, and I seen what it was like to have to kill animals to eat them. So it's like, I'll never waste meat. I'm not going to go vegan, obviously, but man, animal suffering should never be taken for granted. We should always be grateful for what the animals do for us. But anyways, yeah, so that's triggered a big battle. And what was it? Edison vowed to get his revenge on my province where Niagara Falls is, because I live close to Niagara Falls. Yeah, so if anyone ever wants to visit me sometime and you're planning on visiting cool stuff in Canada, yeah, if you visit me, we can go and see Niagara Falls. It's actually, I think if we go on a Sunday, you can take the public transit for the whole day for $10. So we could take a train all the way to Niagara Falls and back for $10. And you have a cheap place to stay if you want to crash in my backyard. I won't charge you, so you have A, free place you can stay in Canada. B, you can get cheap transportation to Niagara Falls, Toronto, you name it. The only thing is obviously the lockdown. Hopefully the lockdown will be over someday. Yeah, so that's one way I can give back to you guys. If anyone wants to come visit Canada and play some Entropia. Alright, so I should really zoom in here and make sure I'm going the right place. So what did Edison vow? That one day he would get his revenge on my province and force them to use his obsolete DC battery technology. And yeah, that's what he vowed. So fast forward to the future and Elon Musk. And it turns out, like, maybe some people don't know this, but Elon actually didn't start the Tesla company. It was another company that had the Tesla name. And he found out about it, so what he did is he bought the company. So yeah, if anyone's thinking Tesla's such a great company, well, Elon isn't really responsible for it. But anyways, and then what Elon did was the most like sacrilegious move you could do. Is Tesla was very anti-battery, like he was AC. He couldn't stand battery technology and didn't want anything to do with it. So it'd be kind of like if there was a famous vegan, say like some vegan guru died and left a company, or no, say there was a vegan and he started a company called Cows Are Good because like he didn't want any cows killed. So then after he died, someone else started a company called Cows Are Good, and all of a sudden the reincarnation, oh yeah, what was I going to say, then someone would come up and say, hey, I'm going to buy this Cows Are Good company and then change it so that they sell ground beef. So it's like the very opposite of what the founder of that company wanted, right? Like that company name, it was supposed to be like against meat or eating it, right? So the most sacrilegious thing you could do is buy the company and start selling meat under its name. So that, yeah, that's what happened with Tesla's company. This new company started up called Tesla, and then Elon comes in and he's like, hey, I'm going to buy this Tesla company and I'm going to force them to start selling batteries in the DC electricity systems that Tesla was adamantly against. So it was like a completely sacrilegious move. And then I started to get a little bit suspicious of this when Elon came to our province. And what did he do? He sued our province to force us to use that DC battery technology. So he got the revenge that Edison had wanted his whole life and never achieved. So it's like A, it's like he got Edison's revenge against our province, and B, he got the revenge against Tesla. So it's like, I don't know if Elon realizes this, but it's like maybe he's a reincarnation of Thomas Edison. He doesn't even realize it. You know what I should do? Yeah, I'll show you guys a little something if I can find it on my computer. Alright, I'm back. Man, did I ever get some good news while I was gone. Sorry, I had to ditch the sweater because my room started to turn into a sauna. When I first got into it, it was freezing. You know me, I heat things up pretty quick. Anyways, yeah, so I did another one of those things in reverse. You want to know what it is today? I was just talking about the whole veganism thing and how it's like it's got good intentions, but man, really we need animals to survive. You'll end up getting like really sick your fucking brain will start breaking down, your hair and teeth will start falling out. So as good as intentions as it is, going vegan is extremely dangerous, especially for women, right? Like women, I talked to I've researched it and found out that the vegan gurus in California, they preach the idea that women lose their period because it's a toxin on the vegan diet. But really what it is they get so low in, like, what is it, iron or different things that you get from animal products in large quantities, that they become anemic and like they don't have enough fucking red blood cells. They start getting freezing cold all the time, and then they lose their period. And then the vegan gurus explain it by the periods being a toxin that you should rid from your body. I was like, including teeth are a toxin. I was like, when your teeth fall out, they say that's a toxin that's good to rid from your body. So I'm like, man, if you want a little bit of a clue that you're in a cult, it's like, check it out. Like, if you actually believe that like women's like natural reproduction cycle is a toxin that needs to be removed, kind of got a few screws loose. Not to make fun of people in that situation, I can definitely relate for other reasons, but anyways, so as I was discussing that with you guys, and I went to my Facebook page to read like where did I leave those Elon Tesla arguments that I could talk about on the show, and guess what happens? There's like a vegan guy that's on my profile. I think we share something in common. It's like ancient mystery research or something. So he's like reaming me out on the page, like insulting people that eat meat, like calling us fat fucks and hoping that we'll die and stuff for eating meat. I was like, really? Are you coming onto my page and like fucking reaming me out and insulting me? I think he even recorded a nasty message and sent it to me on a private chat. So I was kind of thinking maybe I should play it for the show. I don't know what it is yet though, so it might be pretty graphic and get the show taken down. I shouldn't be laughing, like, man, someone who's going through the veganism cult, they can really get off the hook, right? Like, when you start losing the mental faculties because your brain is no longer rebuilding properly. It's like our brain rebuilds, was it every 2 or 4 years, something like that, and it needs to use fat to do it. So whatever fat you have in your body, so eventually your brain might end up getting rebuilt by whatever fats you're getting from your diet. So if you're only getting or if you no longer get animal fats, like say you're getting avocado for fat or whatever, it's like then your brain is going to be rewired from avocado, right? And it doesn't work very well. If anyone's wanted proof of this, just check out Anna Hathaway. She used to promote vegan diet, but then she realized it was the most worst mistake she made in her life, and that her brain was completely like foggy and she couldn't think properly. She started lashing out at complete strangers, yelling at them for eating meat and stuff, sort of like this guy's doing on my Facebook page. But one day she ate, salmon, because like she was at a restaurant, someone's like, man, try the salmon. So she's like, fine, she'll try it. Tried it, and her whole brain rebooted. And then she's like, holy fuck, I realized that this vegan shit was a horrible mistake and it was destroying my brain. So anyways, so this guy is on the page reaming me out for that. So I thought it was kind of interesting. I'll try not to be too mean to him about it, because really I love vegans. They have the best intentions. A lot of them are hot babes, but this guy happens to be a guy, so maybe I won't be as nice to him. Not that I show favoritism to hot babes. But anyways, so I'll try to maybe break it to him easy. Not try to go hardcore and making fun of him for the horrible mistake he's making, but anyways. So I managed to bring up the Tesla pictures. Man, it was funny. Like, not only when I was doing that did I find some good ones, but I found a good article about it too. So I'll bring it up on the screen. So here, other people have started to realize this, that Elon is like being completely sacrilegious to what Tesla had done. So here was someone made it a meme. Shows Tesla choking at Elon, going, "Look what you've done in my name, you bastard." So that's a pretty good one. But then what I started to realize is when I first, it was when Elon sued my province and forced us to use the batteries. I'm like, holy shit, man, this is really suspicious, right? So what I decided to do is take a picture of Elon and put it next to Edison, and then put the logos for Thomas Edison next to how Elon designed Tesla's logo. Check this out. So as you can see, their facial geometry is so similar that they almost look related. So what I did is I took that facial geometry thing, the program, and scanned it to see if they're the same person. And guess what the results were? It said there was something like an 80% chance that these were first cousins. And I was like, they're actually no relation to each other. So I was like, can you imagine the reincarnation actually forced their facial features to look alike, even though they're not even related? Now, so some people debated with me about whether or not they actually looked alike. I was like, well, just scan it in the facial geometry software. It'll tell you. You don't have to take my word for it. So anyways, and then look at the logos. Thomas Edison's electric logo is like this giant T. And then it has the light bulb around it, like an arch above it. And then check how Elon changed the Tesla motor thing. He made it a giant T, just like Edison's. And then he put that arch above it, just like the light bulb. So it's like, man, I guess it could be a stretch to say any of these are similar, but I don't know. To me, it just seemed like no coincidence with everything that's been happening in his behavior. It's like, what are the odds that he had to buy Tesla's company and then make it do the opposite of what Tesla wanted, and then sue the province that Tesla wanted, or that Elon wanted, or Edison wanted revenge again. Sorry, I'm getting all over the place. No, I think it's that argument with the vegan. Sometimes it gets to me. It's because I got a lot of family members that almost died from going vegan. Like when my brother tried it, he's got that thing where he can't digest certain nutrients from plants. So he actually was more susceptible to end up in the hospital quicker from the vegan diet because he wasn't getting half the shit he needed from plants. And yeah, he ended up in the hospital and he almost died from it. So I was like, holy fuck. Thankfully, when he started eating meat again, he recovered. And then, yeah, he clued in pretty quick that, yeah, the vegan diet was not for him. He would die from it very quickly. And who else? Yeah, I shouldn't name everyone in my family, but there's definitely some women in my family who have had the same problem, where they're, like, dying from the vegan diet, their hair and teeth are falling out and shit, and it's like, dear God, it's like, are you going to start eating meat, or keep buying into this new age fucking cult? It's killing you. And yeah, they're still doing the fucking vegan diet shit on their deathbed. So it's like, it's really sad. Like when I see like this vegan cult is like killing my family members. Some of them managed to survive it, but some are still suffering from it. Could die any day from veganism. It's really scary. But yeah, did you hear about Schwarzenegger? He's the vegan promoting you like never have a heart attack. Just had major heart surgery. Turns out the founder of the Vegan Society, he also died of a heart attack at the age 66. So whoever's telling you that vegans are fucking living forever eating the magic beans, they haven't even checked into the founder of the fucking organization. Not only did he not live forever, but he died at a fucking young age of the thing his diet's supposed to prevent. It's like, what the fuck? Come on, people. Come on. It's like even Biden would have something to say about that. Now I was thinking, God, am I the only person who's been onto this idea? And no, there was another article I found here. I'll switch it over. Check it out. Yeah, some other people started to realize that they're basically the same person. When you put a lot of the pictures together, they look very similar. And then it talks about reincarnation, and I don't know if it talks about anything about how they were trying to fight with AC and DC. Yeah, here it is, the AC-DC controversy. So yeah, so where I was getting at was, who is it? What's his name? Kanye West. Yeah, I better drink something. No, I've been eating a little bit less lately, and it's not helping the brain function. I'm getting vegan brain. No, what is it? The brain malfunctions isn't exclusive to veganism. If you do too much fasting, you'll get the same problems. That's hence when I started to realize that, man, this vegan diet, you're not getting everything you need. Like, I tried it for a while too. I made the same mistakes. I'm not like trying to pick on people that are becoming vegans and then realizing it's a mistake. I've been down that same road too. It's actually the road that damaged my memory the worst. So that's why I always try to warn people about it. Not that I'm offering medical advice. If I was a vegan, I wouldn't have to give that fucking disclaimer on YouTube, but because I'm anti-vegan, I have to. I'll get my channel taken down. Isn't that fucked, eh? And then Bill Gates is one of the component people to try to force veganism upon everyone. Oh well. Not to get too much into the blame games and victimhood. God, I love it. Yeah, so Kanye West, he knows all about the battles between Edison and Tesla. I was like, good for you, man. And I'm wondering how deep you got into the Da Vinci stuff, too. If people want to get a little bit of a clue into why Da Vinci knew so much about what he did, he happened to be studying under the Medici Academy. And if people don't know what the Medici Academy is, it's the academy that was started by, I forget, what is it, the Lorentz family or something? And these Lorentz family can be traced back, like, way back into, what is it called, like the olden days, like when the Illuminati first began. It was like this Lorentz family, and they used to have it, like they had their Medici Academy, so they had all the ancient magi stuff and a lot of the old school like secret wisdom traditions and all that stuff. You know, people make fun of the Illuminati, man, but you can just look it up. You can trace it all the way back to the Medici Academy. Yeah, and apparently that Medici Academy to the Lawrence family goes back to like royalty in Babylon. So like they'd go all back to like the Sumerian times even. So I was like, what the fuck, right? Isn't it weird when you look at pictures of this, or Lawrence family, or the ones that started the Medici Academy, I guess they were called the Medici family too, is they had, what is it, First Nations appearance. So I was like, isn't that weird? Like, why would First Nations people be around the Babylon time? I was talking to some of my friends from Iran. They said, yeah, that's a weird thing they noticed too, is when you go to Iran, they have First Nations people there. And they're trying to figure out like First Nations, like Indians from North America. They're trying to figure out, was it like early slavery that brought them over? But then that didn't really make sense if they're the royalty, right? Like, what the fuck? So there's a lot about human history we're not getting the full picture about. I think what it is like the First Nations people that are living there now have been trying to cover up their origins for a long time too. Like, they're not really into letting people open the old graves to see who is the actual oldest people that were in North America. The whole like, we were here first, we claimed all the land thing. So they don't want people to look. So yeah, I don't know, not to say that that's what actually happened, but there is like fucking phone books evidence to prove that Europeans were actually in North America before anyone else was. So if you want to go on and on that you're the first people, then that's what gives you all the land rights. Well, then guess who would really get them, right? But anyways, I don't want to get too political. I know that's a very heated debate, but hey, once we start looking at the facts, can't guess what's going to happen. Anyways, so yeah, I like the whole thing, how, who is it, Kanye West was into looking at Da Vinci. I don't know if he traced it all the way back to the Sumerian kings and shit, but the Merovingian bloodline, I think that's what a lot of people trace it back to too. Something to do with that. I'm not really into the Illuminati research. A lot of it I don't even care about. I just traced Da Vinci back, and then I was like, holy fuck, Da Vinci got trained by the Illuminati. But yeah, and then guess what happened with Da Vinci and the Illuminati? Apparently at one point they started to fight. I don't know what it was that caused the fights, and it got so bad that I think they started like blasphemy, like spreading rumors about each other. And then something about was it the Medici family accused Da Vinci of being like into sodomy or something. So that was like a real big no-no in the olden days. I guess to some degree it was even in modern times. Until recently it's changed to the complete opposite. But anyways, the whole opposite prophecy again. Yeah, so apparently Da Vinci and the Medicis got into so many fights that he got driven out of like Italy. I guess that's what Da Vinci means, from Italy. So his real name was just Leonardo from Italy. But anyways, yeah, so he got driven out and like outcast from society because like he couldn't compete with this like royal bloodline that was spreading all the rumors about him. So his last quote that he was recorded talking about the Medicis, he said that the Medicis made me and the Medicis destroyed me. So yeah, that's one of the famous quotes about what Da Vinci had to say about working with the Illuminati. So I'm pretty sure that's where the Illuminati first started to get their like bad reputation, is probably when they were fighting with Da Vinci. And who knows, I don't know any of the details in the fight and what happened about it, so can't really say who is right or wrong. But if I had to guess, Da Vinci was right. Now, what is it? I like to research the winged disc and secret to immortality and stuff. I never realized that's what Da Vinci's perfect man, or what is it called, the Manchurian Man or something like that. You know, that guy who's naked and has his arms out like that? And then I realized that perfect man symbology was part of the ancient text from the Illuminati, and they were talking about the Alpha to Omega legend. How there's a guy in the sky in the Orion constellation, and his arms are out like that, and because that constellation spins, it makes his arms like look like they're moving, and then it makes that perfect man that Da Vinci was talking about. And they say to become the perfect man in like immortality using that ritual, yeah, that's what it all involves. So I was like, holy fuck, right? Da Vinci is basically that perfect man painting is giving us the clue to the immortality legend that's in the sky using the Orion Man constellation. And that whole fucking ritual goes back to, sacrificing animals. So that's where it connects to fucking veganism and all that shit. It's like one of the most famous sayings Da Vinci says, learn to see that all things connect. So yeah, when you really start looking at the world that we're living in, it's amazing how many of these like puzzles and mysteries and everything all connect to each other if you're willing to look into it enough. So yeah, when I found out that like what's his name, Kanye West is really into that, I was like, that's pretty wild. Kanye is my kind of guy. If I had to vote right now for the election to pick one person to be the leader, I would put fucking definitely over Trump and Biden. Yeah, so I don't know if Kanye is going to win the election. I pray that he will, but I don't know if he really is on enough ballots to do it. But I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I'll bet on him. That'd be pretty sweet. I just got to figure out what categories in the Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure you'd have to bet other, and then that's his category. It's weird that they didn't even put his name. It's like you think, man, if like Kanye West was like in charge of your party, you would at least put his name on it, not just call it other. Yeah, so anyone want to put it in the chat what they're up to in Entropia these days? If you're doing the Halloween Mayhem event, if that's starting Calypso, I have no idea because I haven't been on Calypso. And the way Mindhark has it set up, if you're on a different planet, you have no idea what's going on the other planets. Unless you go to other websites to try to look it up. And then if you're going to other websites, chances are you'll just quit playing the game and do other shit. So yeah, another fault that Mindhark really needs to correct with the game. And that's what I liked about, Kanye West when he was talking to Joe Rogan. He has a whole bunch of ways how we can rebuild our society, completely different ways, and stop going with the stupid Edison ideas and go with Tesla's ideas instead. That's the kind of like metaphor he was using for it, and it's a very accurate one. Oh yeah, and then Kanye West explained to Joe Rogan what happened to him, why he got put into a mental institution, what medications they gave him and shit. Apparently they were saying he was bipolar, but I don't know, Kanye West decided to stop taking the medications, and he's doing like one of the richest men in the world, so it's like, obviously, yeah, and he's very against victimhood, which I was like, alright, Kanye, you're right on track. It's like he doesn't buy into like the Black History Month stuff where you should start going on and reliving the whole slavery shit. He's like, man, let's celebrate the present, not getting caught up into the victimhood of the past. It's like how many other cultures have a month where they celebrate the fucking slavery that they had for a month, right? In the past. Like that is like total victimhood to like the 9th degree or the 32nd degree. Now, some people are putting that a lot of the comments I'm making are all Freemason stuff. I'm not actually with the Freemasons. They invited me, well, I don't even know if the invitation was legit. Some people are telling me to come to the Freemason lodges, and I just explained to them, like, man, I talk too much. One of the biggest penalties is Freemasonry, you're not allowed to tell people shit. So it's not the kind of organization I want to hang out with because I like talking to people and telling them shit. So I don't want to be caught up like agreeing to do the opposite of my own nature because it's just going to backfire on me. Maybe that's what happened with Da Vinci. I don't know. Could be, right? He was releasing too many of the secrets, even like just putting it like not in plain sight or hiding it in plain sight with those paintings and shit. He did a really good painting about the winged disc. I might do a whole episode on Da Vinci one day, not on this show. I'll try to keep more of this Entropia content. But I was just thinking, man, this is like so much that I had on my mind these days, and sorry guys, I don't have anyone else to talk to with the lockdown situation, so really just venting on podcasts is basically keeping me sane to some degree. But yeah, that was the other thing, was that Kanye West, one of the problems he has, or problems, is when he's telling ideas and stories, he often gets sidetracked and goes all over the place on different topics. He called it like playing Mario, how you can never stay in one spot. You always have to jump from platform to platform. I was like, yeah, that's the same issues I get, because usually when I'm telling a story, I'll start seeing how everything connects to everything else, and then wanting to tell how it connects, and I'm like, man, I should just stay on the story track instead of like drifting off into other side topics so much. But oh well, to each their own. Everyone can't be the same, and I don't mind being the way I am. Right, so I hope everyone liked the first 1080 episode of Entropia. Sorry it was kind of boring. I'll maybe start tomorrow's episode when I land on Monria. And yeah, if anyone wants to see an interesting debate about veganism, check out my Facebook page. I'm going to start posting some counter arguments and see how it goes. I have a feeling I'll be losing one friend on Facebook, and I won't ban him unless he starts continuing to swear at me all the time. I don't know, I like my uncle's old philosophy. He's like, if you have a beef with someone that's really getting out of hand, do what we did in the olden days. And I'm like, why? What did you guys do? And he's like, well, in the 60s, anytime you got into an argument with someone, there wasn't like guns, you couldn't use weapons. So what they would do is they're like, hey man, let's meet up at the local boxing academy. We'll do a few rounds of sparring. And then however the sparring goes, we can settle our debate. And my uncle was telling me that it even happened to him with the police a few times. They were doing like, the profiling, because he was a hippie with long hair. They kept pulling him over all the time. He's like, he even challenged one of the police officers to meet him at the boxing academy. I was like, can you imagine that? If that could be the solution to all the gang violence these days. If we just started using boxing academies like they did in the old days. Yeah, that was what Mike Tyson said. The main reason he became such a good boxer is when he grew up in the hood and gangs were fighting each other, no one could afford guns. He said guns were too expensive, so no one had any. So it actually came down to like fighting in the streets, and that's why he became a good boxer. I was like, can you imagine that? It was like the hardship, the Chinese farmer story. All these hardships you're encountering in life, you might not even know it, but it could be sending you to something better that you've never even seen coming. Alright, so let's try to finish the show on a good note like that. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to do the message from the sponsor, or did I? Let's do one again just to be safe. I got the whole vegan brain thing going from not eating enough. Right, today's show is brought to you by Crazy Ideas of Kanye West that I like. It's brought to you by Crack. I can't even do the crack message. That's how far I need to eat something. Dear God. Oh, I feel sorry for that guy arguing me that it's vegan. Can you imagine he has this every day of his life? Oh, what a nightmare that would be. Alright, if you want to help out the show and you can do it with Patreon, that'd be great. Society 6 would be cool too. Swagbucks, GameKit, Hideout, Bitcoin, and the virtual made sex machine that's for adults and men only. But if ladies need a sex machine, who's almost completely lost his mind from not eating enough, then call me. Alright, yeah, and oh yeah, don't forget we got Entropia Zine link below and Raven Jade stuff link below, and just make sure you never buy the products from my sponsor, because it will ruin your life. Bye for now, everyone. I gotta go invest in new monitors, but we'll have HD boobs soon. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be the best upgrade ever. Take care. Here's 3 things. See you later. Vote Kanye. No, I'm just kidding. Vote for whoever you want, but man, I'd vote Kanye.